as well as to the stakeholders who will be voting. Not all candidates up for election will be appearing in these 3 nights of forums. Some have declined, some have dropped out, some did not meet the deadlines every candidate was given, and more have not responded. So I would like to drive everyone to the election website above my head. There you will be able to see every candidate up for every category. You'll be able to read their statements as well. Also see to my right and my left when the stakeholders sign up to vote by mail is on May 4th. Again, using the election website, you can sign up to vote. Excuse me. Ballots need to be postmarked by May 11th, or they can be dropped off at the ballot box outside the Studio City Library on the sidewalk by May 11th. So, let us see. Questions have come from the community, and since many were similar, they've been combined for clarity's sake. Not all questions will be asked, and they will be asked in no particular order. All candidates are aware that we will be asking specific questions, but there is a neighborhood council code of conduct they must sign when becoming a board member, that they must keep an open mind about all issues brought before the board for a vote. And to be fair, during this pandemically altered election, all candidates who elected to be involved in this video forum have been and will be given the questions 24 hours in advance. So everyone should know that. We also encourage every candidate to engage more with the community via social media. For example, a candidate may be willing to hold their own town hall on Nextdoor or through their own Zoom chat, or just talk with the constituents, with the stakeholders on any social media. Do it. We encourage it. Please engage as much as possible. The format for this will be 1 minute for opening remarks, 1 minute 15 seconds to answer, and a 1 minute closing. There is a timer. Right now you see it as the Studio City Neighborhood Council symbol. There is a timer that each candidate and stakeholder can see. They will be muted when time is up. Again, to the candidates, I don't want to mute you, and I apologize ahead of time. Just trying to keep it fair for everyone involved. Any questions, candidates, before we begin? All right, well, I will draw the first name for our opening statements. First person will be Brandon Marino. Opening statement, you have 1 minute.
Okay, you can see my mouth. I said it's going to be me. I'm not a bureaucrat, not a politician. I'm not a NIMBY. I'm not an actor. I'm not rich. And I'm not about networking. My name is Brandon Marino. I am an illustrator. I am an art instructor. I am a citizen of Studio City for over 24 years. I'm honest and fair, at least I believe I am. I'm open to reason, and I do believe solutions to any issue can be found between intelligent people, sans agendas but one, was what is best for the people they serve. You might not agree with many of my responses to the forthcoming questions, but I will always give you my honest opinion, and I'm always open to debate. My name is Brandon Marino, and I'm a candidate for residential renters.
Thank you, Brandon.
Sure.
All right, next up will be John Parra. John?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John. I have 2 Bachelor's of Business Administration degrees, one in Management Information Systems and the other in Finance Economics. I have a master's degree in Educational Administration. I also have worked in corporate America with various entities, and I also have volunteered with various entities such as the Red Cross, Adopt a Family, and I volunteered in various organizations, on Meals on Wheels. I believe in intellectual rigor. That rigor and cultivation of reasoning allows for a constructive, mature, high-quality dialogues that enables me to effectively communicate, collaborate, and solve any issue or discussion item. In both professional and personal interactions, I exude probity. I operate in good faith with intellectual moral integrity. I am a lifelong learner. My desire to be on this committee is to assist Studio City in identifying some areas of concern and constructively collaborate with a team of individuals who effectively implement solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lana Shackelford is supposed to be up next, but I know she's coming back on a bus from somewhere. So we will get back with her when she dials in. So we will go to Doug. Doug Sloan, please.
Thanks, Mike. My name is Doug Sloan, and I'm excited to be here to speak with you all tonight. I've lived in Los Angeles for over 4 years now, and it is now my home. I'm running for neighborhood council because I think it's time for the younger generation in America to step up and get involved in their communities. My desire to act locally was sparked by the display of activism this past summer that exposed systemic failures in our society. I think that we need all points of view to have a seat at the table, and we all need to have an open mind. I think that we can solve for the homeless problem with compassion and integrity, not with disdain and apathy. I think that we can revitalize our city with our sights set towards a green and clean future and not backwards towards car culture. I think that we can have people represent our city that stand up for the issues and take action to drive results, not people who treat issues like a can that you can kick down Ventura Boulevard to a neighboring city. I'm running with a group of candidates for office that bring real solutions, real work, and real results. We are StudioCityForAll.com, and I look forward to talking more about the issues tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Next, we'll move to Kim Clements. Kim. Kim, you are muted. Good.
Thank you. My name is Kim Clements. I am a 16-year resident of Studio City and a lifelong resident of the Valley, born and raised in the Woodland Hills area. I am a financial and investor relations manager. Prior to getting my MBA and heading in the finance direction, I was in entertainment, television entertainment, and grew up around the business as well. So I've been quite steeped in all that Studio City has to offer. And living here for a while, I've seen it change and not for the better. So I'm running to get involved and love this city and want to see it continue to be what it had been. And I think we can get back there. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. All right, David McKenzie.
Hi, my name is David McKenzie. I've been a resident of the Valley for the last 10 years, Studio City specifically in the last 2 years. Prior to that, I've been Valley Village, Sherman Oaks. I have a Bachelor of Science in Business Supply Chain Management and another degree in a Bachelor of Arts in Film. I currently work in IT and have for quite some time. And prior to that, I've been doing, I was in entertainment doing film and television. And I'm here today to represent kind of the younger generation in politics and try to affect real change. You know, I really want to be able to help our Studio City, and hence why I'm here today. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And that is our opening. So we'll pick a name out of the hat and we'll just jump into questions. John Parra, you are the first person to answer this next question, all right? The question will be, what do you see as the role of the Studio City Neighborhood Council in working with our LA City officials, departments, and staff?
Our role as a neighborhood council is to give one consolidated input to city officials that represents the residents of Studio City. Our focus is to implement high quality, sustainable solutions for problems specific to Studio City. If we have any item where there are synergies with other councils and make it and it makes sense to work together, then the decisions we make and bring those synergies together are constructively collaborate effectively and implement any and all solutions.
Thank you, John. All right. The next person will be, Lana is not here, Doug.
Thanks, Mike. So neighborhood councils were created to collaborate with LA City offices, and so I think it's a vital role. I think we act as the voice of our city, quite literally. We make motions and statements that support the opinions of the people that live here. I think that we also should work very closely with neighboring neighborhood councils. We're not the only city in the Valley, there's a lot of them. I think we have to be mindful of our neighbors, not only the people, but the cities. We can share issues with Sherman Oaks and NoHo. I mean, it's just a boundary, it doesn't change what happens in the community. I think more collaboration with our neighbors and our neighboring cities is essential for the Studio City Neighborhood Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Stop this. All right, the next person, Kim.
I see the neighborhood council as an advocate for the stakeholders in the area, to work alongside with, be the voice of and work alongside with the city council and our leaders in the city. I do think it's important as well to work alongside the surrounding cities. We don't have walls up. We are back and forth, and each of us works together and off of the other. So I would like to be a voice for this city.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. All right, David McKenzie.
Well, thanks. So I view the SCNC as a solutions-oriented team to help address issues that face Studio City. As a collective, the SCNC works at length with various other departments throughout the city to provide better transparency, communication, problem solving, planning, and execution. Basically, similar to what Kim had said, that it's an advocate for Studio City to greater Los Angeles.
You guys are fast. Good stuff. Thank you, everyone. Brandon.
Simple. We are the pulse of the community. We are here. Politicians are at City Hall. There are other places. They got other things to deal with. Even though you might be a councilman of this district, you have other things to attend to. But we are the conduit between the people and the politicians. We see what's going on a daily basis. We're right here, morning, noon, and night. We know what the problems are. And we may not know exactly what the solutions are at first, but we can relay the issues that are happening right here. I hate to say boots on the ground because I don't like to use military terms, but we are that. We are the connection between what's happening here in the community and the eyes and ears of the people who can actually do something to solve these problems. That's how I see neighborhood councils working. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, we'll stop this and move on to the next question. The person who'll be answering is David McKenzie. You'll be the first person. Next question. What are your thoughts on the mask mandate and wearing them in public and businesses? And did you wear a mask as was asked of us all? What are your thoughts on the mask mandate and wearing them in public and businesses? Did you wear a mask as was asked of us all?
Sure, and let me address real quick. You said real quick. I thought we only had 15 seconds between each question because there's going to be a list of people. So I'm going to be pretty quick here. So my view on the mask mandate is that it's a necessary inconvenience to help through a pandemic. It should be absolutely required until the CDC and other medical bodies approve otherwise. Yes, I wore a mask the entire time. And I think the partial question here is to ask about what I did personally. And that's, small things. I donated masks, donated money towards CDC, ASPCA, and a few other things. Made sure to stay indoors except when necessary. And of course, wore a mask as mentioned at all times. I did my absolute best to help to adhere to the city, state, and CDC advisements. Thanks.
Thanks, David. Yeah, you answered. I was going to ask half the question, but you answered the whole thing. So I'll put it out to everyone else to give a chance as well. So thank you for that. And so the question, once again, for everyone is, what are your thoughts on the mask mandate and wearing them in public or businesses? And did you wear a mask as was asked of us all? The second part of that question is, given the pandemic and its lockdown, did you do anything personally to help our community during this time? So that is what David was answering on the back end of that for all the attendees. So the second part, given the pandemic and its lockdown, did you do anything personally to help the community during this time? We're looking at Brandon right now.
Me. Yes, I wore a mask, and no, it was not an inconvenience. My previous answer, I mentioned I don't like using war analogies, but the people during the Second World War had to go through a lot worse. Rations, turning their lights off at night, horrible things. They understood it was a necessary evil because there was a far greater evil if you did not. Wearing a piece of cloth on your face is not against your freedom. It's just a piece of cloth on your face. You wouldn't run around naked without clothes on. That's against the rules. You can't do that. That's just something it is. And in terms of what I did, not as much as the prior answer, but I did keep my distance. I was very cognizant of staying away from people, even with wearing a mask. And I kind of wish I would have done more, actually.
Thank you, Brandon. Now we are moving to John Para. John. John, you are muted.
Ready?
Sounds
Okay.
perfect.
I believe every citizen should do their patriotic duty and follow the Fauci fundamentals. We are in a public health emergency and every citizen needs to do their part. These fundamentals are consistent guidelines from the science community and are consistent from the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Fauci, and our own county health department. If we are going to eradicate this virus, every citizen must follow these guidelines. Every time someone gets infected, we allow this virus to mutate and potentially generate a new DNA that might be more lethal or even able to bypass the current vaccines. I follow the guidelines consistently. We do not want to become a part of the fourth wave that is occurring in the upper Midwest and the East Coast. And as an FYI, do you know that Australia has eradicated the virus without the vaccine, and they did it back in November? Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Give me a second. Lana is here. And we're going to let her in. I don't see Lana there. Mark, if you let me know, if someone lets me know, we'll move on.
Excuse me, I'll just suggest that she call in right now instead of trying to be on the video.
That sounds good. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
All right, that was John. Now to Doug.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so what are my thoughts? The science shows that wearing a mask and social distancing works. Do I wear a mask? Yes, I still wear a mask. I plan to wear a mask until the pandemic has been eradicated. What did I do? I actually volunteered with an organization called LA Works a couple times before Labor Day weekend to hand out masks to people who didn't have them. It was to just promote safety as we were getting into a holiday weekend to try to stop the spread. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. Kim, on to you, Kim.
I wore a mask as I've been asked to do and do so when I'm out. I have mixed feelings on the masks. We were first told not to use them and they didn't do much. And then we were told they do help. So, okay, perhaps it does. I will go ahead and put it on while I'm out. And I've been fortunate enough to be working from home during the pandemic. So I have been busy with that and some other things in the last year. So my involvement has just been to continue to support the local businesses, as I can. But that's, as Brandon mentioned, might have been nice to do some other things, but I was caught up with my own personal stuff.
Thank you, Kim. All right, so we still try to get Lana in here. We will move on. And just so you know, we will have to give her some time to answer some of these questions as well. So I appreciate everyone bearing with us with that. Next person to answer first will be Kim. And this question is, do you believe the neighborhood councils are political organizations? And is your candidacy supported, backed, affiliated, or funded in any way by any political party? And just for clarity, this is not asking you how you vote or how you are registered. So once again, do you believe the neighborhood councils are political organizations? Is your candidacy supported, backed, affiliated, or funded in any way by any political party? Kim.
I do not feel that it's a political organization. We all are guided by our own beliefs and what we perceive, of course, so that our political affiliations may come into play sometimes in our thinking. However, the job, I think, of the neighborhood council is to, as I mentioned before, be an advocate to the stakeholders and to work together with all people. And so I really don't see it as a political group. And no, I'm not backed by anybody for this candidacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Moving on to David McKenzie. David.
No, both. That's I don't really need to say much more. No, I don't believe that neighborhood councils are political organizations. No, I am not backed, affiliated, or funded in any way, shape, or form by a political party. I think, like the judicial branch of our government, it needs to be neutral. It represents a large amount of people in Studio City, and they all have different viewpoints. And so we need to be open to hearing them, discussing them, and just have that kind of discussion. So, no.
Thank you, David. Coming up, Brandon.
No, it should not be a political organization. In my opinion, it limits cooperation and it limits prioritizing the community over agendas, personal agendas. You start bringing politics into the situation. Now there's infighting. Now there's people literally digging a hole in the ground, putting their feet in it and pouring quick dry cement and saying, I'm not going to move. So politics should have absolutely nothing to do with neighborhood councils whatsoever. You're free to voice a conservative or a liberal viewpoint, but the community should be first and foremost. Nothing should get in the way of what is best for Studio City. And no, I am not, my candidacy is not affiliated with any political party.
Thank you, Brandon. John Para. John.
The councils are grassroots, the councils are grassroots, nonpartisan volunteer groups. I'm not associated or affiliated with any political organization. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Doug Sloan.
Hey, before I start, is the clock supposed to be at 1:15?
No.
I think for questions. No, we're switching it to 1.
It's Doug.
It's okay.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. You are
No problem.
correct. Completely my mistake.
This is just in case I go close to the end of the question. So thanks for checking that.
No, thank you for that.
Yeah.
If anybody would like, I'll give you extra time on any of our other questions. I apologize. Got 3 different screens and you guys are going quickly. Doing well. So, all right, Doug, on you, my friend. All right, ready.
Thanks, Mike. So I'm going to differ a little bit here. I think that neighborhood councils are inherently political because we are commenting on policy. That being said, neighborhood councils are not partisan. There is no Senate Democratic Republican split. That's not a thing. So is it political? Inherently, yes, towards policy. Is it political in party politics and partisanship? No. By the way, I'm a registered independent, so I don't really side one way or the other. I don't think your personal politics should come into it, but you are obviously influenced in how you answer to the issues. I'm a slate organizer, so I think it's pretty important that I actually clarify the position of our slate. We are not backed by any political organization or political party. We are accepting endorsements from organizations that align with our values, and we do not take any funding. So I repeat, we do not take any outside funding. We are fully self-funded. And if you want to learn more about our endorsements, you can visit our website where we just posted our first endorsement with LA Forward. They're a really forward-thinking organization. It's on our website. You can see more as we add them in. But yeah, no political parties, no outside funding, all internal. Thanks for giving me that extra 15 seconds, Mike.
Doug, I thank you. And again, I'm going to put that to all candidates, including you, Doug, on any of the previous questions. If you want those 15 seconds, I'll happily give them to you. That was my mistake. Thanks for pointing that out, too. With that, do we have Lana yet? Lana, is that you on 205? I'm sorry. Lana? Lana, is that you on 205?
It is. Can you hear me?
I can, Lana. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Lana, you
Thank
are
you.
on
Sorry.
now. All
Okay.
good. We are a couple of questions deep. I'm going to give you 1 minute now to give your open. So if you are ready, hold on a second here. Let me just make sure. Let me make sure I'm correct now. Doug, stay on me for the seconds, buddy, please. All right, Lana, if you're ready, this is your opening.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, my name is Lana Shackleford, and I appreciate the patience with my technological issues this evening. I am joining everyone by cell phone as I am traveling. I have been a part of the neighborhood council for many years, since 2010, when I first came on board, and more recently am serving as a renter representative and the budget chair and as a land use committee member. And I am very happy to serve my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Lana. I'm going to bump this back up to 1 minute, 15 seconds. Lana, I'll give you some time throughout this to answer the other questions that everyone else has already answered. It won't be at this very moment. Thank you. We will,
okay.
All good. We will move on with other questions at the moment.
Certainly.
And just so you know, I'm picking names out of a Ziploc bag, and we will move alphabetically from there. I'll let you know when it's your time as well. Thank you. I'm going to put you on mute. All right, next question. It's going to be started off by Doug. You will be the first person to answer this question. Studio City is known for its thriving business district, mainly along the Ventura corridor, as well as with residents living close by. And there are times when the two butt heads. For example, there are noise complaints from late night revelers, the numerous patrons crossing Ventura Boulevard in darkness, and parking issues. What do you feel is the role of the Studio City Neighborhood Council in its balance between businesses and residences?
That's a great question. And obviously the neighborhood council has business seats for people who are representing business stakeholders in the community. So obviously they have a voice and they have a seat at the table already. I think it's vital. Personally, I am not involved in a business in Studio City per se. I work from home for a company that's not based in California. So I don't necessarily have a big stake in the game there, but I think that businesses should be represented with the same credibility and the same open-mindedness as we are for all of our citizens within the city. And I guess, you know, when you elect me, I'll definitely take their considerations into mind. I'll take the considerations of citizens and I'll put it all together and do what's best for the community. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. Moving on to Kim Clements. Kim.
Oh, I think the answer kind of was in the question, in that it needs to be a balance between the parties. They're all stakeholders, and the businesses are important to us, and as well as obviously the residents and their comfort and enjoyment. So it does require a balance, and both groups need to be heard, and both sides need to be taken into consideration.
Thank you, Kim.
Thanks.
Moving on to David McKenzie. David.
Yeah, you know, I think SCNC is a solutions-oriented organization meant to help both parties as issue arise. I don't think that there's always going to be a perfect solution, so it's up to the SCNC to find compromises to best fit the situation. So there's stakeholders on all from every angle that work, live, and play here, and they all have, you know, they all should be heard.
Thank you very much, David. We're moving on to Brandon Marino. Brandon.
I think it starts with the communication. The more communication you have, the more information is relayed between the parties, and a better solution can be derived from it. Whether that communication is maybe YouTube programming, maybe more Zoom chats like this, where people do not have to physically be at a facility or a room, but could just sit in their comfort of their own home or apartment or business and get involved. Communication is the first step to anything. And my answer, therefore, will be just get as many minds involved in this as possible, as many viewpoints, as many opinions, and derive a solution from that.
Thank you, Brandon. We are moving to John Para. John.
I think the council's role is a mediator, disseminator of information to both sides, business and residents. I believe that businesses can be made aware of residents' concerns. That way they can deal with the issues efficiently and effectively. And residents can be made aware of solutions that businesses are using to address residents' concerns. It's like a child's seesaw, businesses on one end and residents on the other. Intellectual objectivity provides the fulcrum that keeps both sides in the air. The goal is balance, reasonableness, stability for both parties, a win-win for all involved. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lana, you are up next, and we will unmute you. Lana, are you there?
Hi.
All ready for you, Lana.
Okay. Inherently, the Studio City Neighborhood Council election setup has business representatives and residents representatives, homeowners and renters. And herein is a great opportunity to discuss with the people you represent and the board members solutions to this situation. And it's not the first time that we've had a clash between businesses and residences. And it may take a little bit of time, but more often than not, there is a resolution that is made that is a compromise on both sides most often. Thank you.
Thank you, Lana. That finishes for that question. And I'm going to guess Lana is going to be the person to start out the next one. And of course it is. Lana, you will be next. You will be the first person to answer this next question.
Okay,
So
can you hear me?
Yep, I can definitely hear you.
Okay, great.
And the question is, I'm combining two together under crime and safety. What are your What are your feelings about the people's budget, and how do you feel the LAPD has been doing?
The people's budget, in my opinion, is a great testament to a community who wants to be participatory in their government. They would like to have a voice and they would like to have a say. However, I do feel like the people's budget has greater expectations than might be able to be fulfilled at this time. And I know that our long-serving council members do their best with these budgetary issues. And it's wonderful to hear everyone participating with their ideas. The second part of that question, Michael, how is the LAPD doing? I'm very impressed with the LAPD and their workforce compared to the population that we have in LA. They have continually impressed with their numbers over the course of time for the large population that we have in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Lana. Moving on to Doug Sloan. Doug.
Thanks, Mike. So because it's the Studio City Neighborhood Council and not Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, I'm going to focus on the presence of LAPD in Studio City specifically for this question, for the first part. My understanding is Sean Smith is a great senior officer leader in our community. I've heard that he's very responsive and cooperative. I've never met him myself, but this is what my understanding is in discussing it with my slate members. He's someone we could really work with. So I think leadership-wise, we have a great position in the community to work with the LAPD, and I look forward to learning more about that in the future. As far as the people's budget goes, that's my understanding that the people's budget is wanting more taxation with representation for how the dollars are spent on public services. I think obviously it came to light with police abuse that was on video. I think it's pretty obvious, if you ask me, that there's some things that need to be fixed. We aren't going to control the people's budget on the Studio City Neighborhood Council board, so I don't really think my opinion on whether I support it or not has any impact. I think we might make some motions depending on what it comes out to be, because I don't think it's finalized yet. We're still working on it. But ultimately, we're a nonpartisan body. We have to listen to people who have other opinions. Clearly, these people want to say something and they have ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Moving on to Kim Clements. Kim?
I think a lot of people have a lot of ideas and wish lists of what they'd like to see, and not everything is possible or feasible. I really value the work that our officers do, and I have unfortunately had a number of encounters with them here in Studio City. I've dealt with them a lot more than I care to, but they've always been great. LAPD, again, they've been up against a lot. They have had their budget cut way back and are working with a lot less. I think that it's something that obviously is a hot topic right now and really needs to be looked at from all sides. So good to hear people's suggestions and desires. It's a matter of working out what is best for all, what would be keeping us safe but bettering the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Moving on to David McKenzie. David?
Yeah, so the people's budget, I think, is actually pretty awesome. I think it's interesting. We have enough passionate people in a city to be willing to put together a budget, which is insane, because if you've ever put a budget together, it's not fun. So I think the people's budget has a lot of wonderful ideas that should be included in an overall budget. I think it really helps give you a pulse to the city in general. I know that's something actually Brandon said earlier. It's actually very similar, putting a pulse to the people. And I also think that those who create it, whatever organizations, Neighborhood Council, should absolutely be involved in the city and its budget. So I know that they are, but I think having more of a voice at the table is something we would all like. However, I will state that I'm not a subject matter in regards to comparing two different budgets and who's right, who's wrong, let alone have I run a city anywhere near as large as Los Angeles or at all. So I'm not going to pretend to say that, oh yeah, the people's budget's way better than the budget already approved. And the second part of this question is in regards to the LAPD. While I think that there are some areas the LAPD have failed in, I do think that the LAPD is doing a relatively good job overall, considering the sheer size of Los Angeles. That being said,
thank you, David. I appreciate you. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you. We will go, Brandon.
I'll actually follow up on what David was about to say. The square mileage of Los Angeles is immense. The area the LAPD has to cover is ridiculous. And this is not the largest police force in the nation. It's one of the largest city areas in the nation, however, and the fact that they can do anything at all boggles the mind. I think they're doing a pretty good job. There's always situations where things go wrong. People are people. But I think they've been doing a very good job up to this point, and probably in the future. In terms of the people's budget, this is one of those questions where people might not agree with me. I think it was a political knee-jerk reaction. I think there should be more training with the LAPD. I think LAPD officers should be trained every 6 months, extensive training for an entire week, over and over and over. I think a lot of that budget should be going to the training of LAPD officers, continual training, not just one day a year, but over continuously. That would better the LAPD as an organization, and in my opinion only, would better the connection between the LEPD and the community. That's all.
Very much. John.
In this question, what is being asked? Am I in agreement with the methodology for extracting information for their report? Why or why not? Do I agree with their document creators' priorities versus the city priorities in terms of percentage breakdown? Why or why not? You know, it needs to ask something specific because it says feelings, and I believe subjective opinions get us nowhere. How I feel about something is irrelevant. It should always be objective, not subjective. It's about what we do, not what we feel. What are our proposed solutions to rectify a problem? What is the action plan for the solutions and the timelines for completion and implementation of the solutions? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lana, I want to give you a chance for one of the makeup questions now, Lana. So
Okay.
This question will be, it's kind of a three-parter. So it's under topical. What are your thoughts on the mask mandate and wearing them in public and businesses? Did you wear a mask as was asked of us all? And given the pandemic and its lockdown, did you do anything personally to help the community during this time? If you'd like me to repeat it, I will.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much for the question. And since the mandate was put forth in the city, I have worn my mask every time I walk out the door. That's a lot of mask wearing, and gladly participated so that people would know that I respected them, and in turn hope that they would respect their neighbors as well. I believe that the mask mandate was put into effect to help to mitigate a public safety emergency, and hopefully it has helped us greatly. Furthermore, during this pandemic, I did have neighbors in my building that I have spent the past year assisting. I have elderly neighbors that do not have cell phones or computers. I know we wonder, how is that possible? So I would drive them to the grocery store, the pharmacy, to doctor's appointments. One gentleman retired during this pandemic, and so that was, on top of that, journey was for him to turn in his
Lana,
papers.
thank you very much. Your time
Thank
is
you.
up. I'm sorry. Thank you. All right, everyone. Got a new loaded Ziploc bag here. We're starting all over. First person to answer this next question. Lana, it is back to you. You are the first person to answer this next question. And this question will be, the Unitarian Church on Moore Park has plans to offer on-site services for the unhoused. What are your feelings about this and other expansions of unhoused services, especially near our residential neighborhoods?
These services are very vital to our unhoused community. I understand that this is not going to be like a Barney's sale in Beverly Hills where people are going to be lined up around the street. I fully trust that the church has decided to act upon their faith and with their compassion to reach out to our community and assist people in the greatest need. If there is an issue that arises out of problems from too many crowds, we will help to mitigate that with solutions and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lana. And as I stop this, sorry, we're moving on to Doug Sloan. Doug.
Thanks, Mike. Well, I don't know if anyone here knows, but the unhoused are already living here in Studio City. So they're here and they need help. I think we need to focus more on their needs and getting them help rather than worrying about whether it's in our backyard or not. I think it's great that we're providing on-site services for the people in Studio City who are experiencing homelessness, especially when it comes from a nonprofit or a church where it doesn't come out of our pocket, it comes through donations. I think it's a great thing. So The more solutions we can provide, I think, are better, especially when it comes at no cost to us. And since these people are already here, we should help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Kim, you're up next, Kim.
Sure. To mirror what Doug said, these people are here and they do need services. Absolutely. It's a good place to start. This is a subject that's very near and dear to all of us since we have seen such a tremendous increase. More help, though, I think needs to be, I don't know the full plans of the church. I'm sure it's the food services and perhaps opening their doors to allowing them to come in for shelter. But this is a matter that we really need to address. And I know that many of the other candidates are incredibly concerned for what has been going on in the area. We have people who are unwell mentally and drug addicted, and we really need to get them the right kind of help, which would be more than the church would be offering. But it is, that's the big dilemma when it is surrounded by residences. I look forward to hopefully having a chance to delve further into this subject. It's near and dear to my heart. I've struggled with it here.
Thank you very much, Kim. Thank you. David, you're up next.
Okay. It's a complicated issue to tackle with not really a great solution. I mean, every city throughout the United States is kind of struggling with it. I think there is more to understand on what the Unitarian Church will cover with their on-site services. But there always is going to be a question of safety and organization and what exactly is going to be covered and what they can do to help that process if there are large lines or if there is a large amount or if there's any issues during it. What happens next? Is there on-site security? Is there police, et cetera? Again, without more information, I can't really provide statistics and data, but it's possible there are better solutions rather than a church nestled in the middle of a neighborhood. I do applaud the church and those that put this in motion in place as a method to address the unhoused and help. I think that's a very Christian thing to do that we need a lot more of in Studio City, Los Angeles, and honestly, the world. So I think it's wonderful, and I think that there might be better solutions. Otherwise, it's definitely going to require a lot of additional planning and resources that the church may or may not have, in which case Studio City Council should be up to bat.
Thank you, David. Moving on to Brandon Marino.
Well, as everyone else said, I do applaud the church's concept of helping the unhoused. But as other candidates have stated, the ingress and egress, it's lodged right in the middle of a residential community, and that's my concern here. On the other hand, bridge housing is not here. I think the closest bridge housing we have is up Van Nuys and Raymer. We don't have any bridge houses over here. So it is a tricky subject because where else do you put them? Sportsman's Lodge, I think, was housing the unhoused for a while, and there were concerns regarding that with people in this community. That's the community I live in, right around the Coldwater Canyon, Ventura area. If there is a solid plan in place and there are contingencies in place, and that's always the big deal, are you looking at every contingency? Are you ready to move at a moment's notice for any problem that might arise? Then I'd love to see that plan. But again, as others have noted, I don't have enough information to actually give a commitment on that.
Thank you, Brandon. John Para.
It's good that there is another place for temporary shelter for the unhoused. I believe that shelters near residential areas can be okay so long as these shelters are working with these individuals and put in place structure and rules for the individuals being there. I know some of these individuals might have some mental health issues, but hopefully a benefit of being at these facilities is these individuals can receive some kind of human or health services. This issue is very complex. There is not a panacea that will magically resolve this. Again, we need to have compassion and empathy for these individuals and act with an upright conscience and be high-minded and constructive in trying to find a sustainable, effective solution. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lana, it's your turn again to do a makeup question that everyone else has already answered. And
Okay.
your question will be, do you believe the neighborhood councils are political organizations? Is your candidacy supported, backed, affiliated, or funded in any way by any political party? And for clarity, this is not asking you how you vote or who or how you are registered.
Thank you very much for that question. The neighborhood council was put into place to help mitigate issues at the community level for our LA City Council. This community effort is a wonderful place to practice any bipartisan politics, if you will, in learning to negotiate what is best for your community. I am not backed by any political affiliation or faction for my candidacy. I am thoroughly interested in continuing the good work for our community, and I just must say I'm thrilled that so many other people have shown up to show their interest to participate as well.
Thank you, Lana. All right, we are on to the next question. First person to answer the next question will be John Para. It'll be you, my friend. And the question will be, since the Studio City Neighborhood Council represents stakeholders who live, work, own real property, and are community interest stakeholders within the boundary of the Neighborhood Council, are you open to listening to other stakeholders' ideas? And how do you handle differing opinions when it comes to being a board member? So the question is, what is your most important leadership mantra which will help you collaborate with other board members, especially those who don't share the same opinion as yourself?
Isn't that the raison d'etre, which is French for the existence for something, as in the existence for this council, is to listen and collaborate with others to solve issues. If you work in a collective group, it is imperative in actively listening and being open-minded to others, individuals' ideas, inputs, solutions, opinions, and perspectives. To me, that is the essential definition of diversity. And when opining, individuals need to opine by starting with the truth and with objectivity, not subjectivity. Subjectivity is what you feel. Objectivity is based on what is, what you do. And that translates to being well-versed in data, knowledge of the topic at hand in order to articulate a judicious assessment or solution. My most important mantra is to get things done. When we have our meetings, let's be focused and have a purpose. Let's establish OKRs. That is, let's have an objective and define key results. That way we are focused on what we are doing and what we are trying to accomplish. As the great New York Yankee Yogi Berra once stated, if you don't know where you're going, you might not get there. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We're moving on to Lana.
Yes, hi. Hi, I love that reference to Yogi Berra. Thank you very much. I also agree that when you keep your eye on the ball, you have a destination and everyone works towards that goal, which is the greatest achievement that each neighborhood council can have during their tenure. And I firmly believe that working with people of different opinions is a great way to get results. And the best skill that you can utilize in working with people of different opinions is patience and listening and actively understanding that their goal is going to be the same as yours, even though you might have differing tactics on how to reach it. I believe that a concession and a consensus can be between people with different ideas and different solutions to come up with something that would be a betterment for our community.
Thank you, Lana. Thank you. We're moving on to Doug.
Thanks, Mike. My mantra, listen. Pretty simple. You got to listen. If you don't, you're never going to know what other people think and how to work with them. So I think that's really important. And listening to other people's ideas is actually a big reason as to why Studio City for All was formed, because we are, skewing younger, we're more progressive minded than others in the community, and we want to have our voices heard. We want a seat at the table. We want to be able to help make decisions that are important for our community. So it's one of the fundamental reasons I'm running to be a member of Neighborhood Council, and I think it's really important that we listen to everyone. And I'll bring that mentality when I'm on the board to listen to other people. You learn a lot by talking to people and discussing the issues, and especially in a nonpartisan environment like the Neighborhood Council, we'll really be able to focus on the issues and get things done. So yeah, that's it. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Doug. Get this timer up. And we are going to Kim Clements.
Working together with a diverse group brings many different ideas and plans to mind, and helps the group to come to a best decision at the end. I do believe it's important to work with others and not always who are like-minded. I have served on the board of directors at Cal State LA with the Alumni Association for many years, and worked with all kinds of people to get done what was best for the alumni and the students, and to accomplish the goals that we set forth. So I do believe that that's important. And I feel we don't always have to be best friends, but we do need to work together and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. David McKenzie.
Yeah, so I'll go with the first one here about representing variety of stakeholders, and I think, of course, we should. I absolutely open to listening to other people's perspectives and opinions on things. Having an open discourse on subjects is one of my favorite activities, much to my wife's chagrin. Open communication and empathy is needed for any proper discussion on topics, especially with differing opinions. And as to like a mantra and things that help me, I guess, work in environments like this and be solutions focused is just the golden rule: treat others as though you'd like to be treated. We're all human. We're all citizens of the United States. We're all residents of Los Angeles. We all have differing opinions very often. As long as we can keep an open mind and treat each other with respect, I mean, I can work with anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, David. On to Brandon Marino. Brandon.
As for my mantra, there is no perfect solution. Perfection does not exist. There's always going to be compromise. If you have that as your mantra, if you have that as the first thing when you walk into any kind of debate, any kind of argument, that you may not get exactly what you want, but you may get most of what you want. There's always wiggle room, and there's always flexibility in order. And nobody knows everything. Not one person on earth knows absolutely everything there is to know about anything, ever. Keeping an open mind and understanding the other person's point of view, that was brought up a couple of times, might reveal something you did not know previously, or you didn't quite understand. You thought you might have understood it, but you didn't. So listening to the other person, understanding their point of view, seeing from their point of view, their position, their angle, what they're looking at might be a very different angle than how you're looking at it. So in terms of my mantra, there is no perfect solution. In terms of everything else, understand the other person's point of view.
Thank you, Brandon. We'll go with that. Lana, I'm going to bring you up to answer the last question that is your makeup question that everyone else has already answered. So, Lana, your question. Yep, your question will be, what do you see as the role of the Studio City Neighborhood Council in working with our LA City officials, departments, and staff? What do you see as the role of the SCNC in working with our LA City officials, departments, and staff?
The Studio City Neighborhood Council has been established along with the other neighborhood councils in Los Angeles to mitigate issues that would have previously landed in a stack of papers at a councilman's office. I do believe that working with our neighbors and our businesses on issues such as housing, transportation, our businesses, whether it's restaurants or retail, and helping them to get their permits when they're redoing their office space. These are great assets to support the Los Angeles program in place for our residents and our businesses. And I believe that in doing so, we create a greater network of participation within our community. Was that the ding?
I'll ding you in 2 seconds if you want. Ding.
Okay, well.
Done, Lana. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to our next question, and let me mute her. First person to answer our next question will be Doug Sloan. Doug, what are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter marches that took place in Los Angeles last year?
Thanks, Mike. Great question. I think that the Black Lives Matter movement rose up from systemic issues that we have in our country. And I think it was heightened because everyone was in lockdown and we had high attention to social media and the news media and what was going on. And the movement and the marches across the entire world is actually one of the big reasons that I got involved, because there are clearly problems with certain elements of our society. I think there's a lot of great things. I don't want to say I hate America, but there's a lot of things that we can fix and do better. And I think the Black Lives Matter movement represents one of those things that we can do, is striving for equality, making sure we get rid of things like qualified immunity, making sure that we prosecute people appropriately. I think these are things we can work on. I think it's pretty obvious. Let's keep in mind also that there was a really big presence for Black Lives Matter supporters in Studio City. So I think that we should give them a voice. Again, like, we need to listen to everyone. We need everyone in our community to have a voice at the table. And there was a big presence. It's a big issue. It's hot button. I know it can be partisan. And that's really the only thing I don't like, is that it's a hyper-partisan tool for good, for bad, not for good. And my Slate members will make fun of me for saying that I hate partisan politics, and that's why I'm independent. Thanks, I'm out of time.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Thank you. Kim Clements.
Clearly, people had a voice they wanted heard, and it was, and I agree with Doug that it was heightened because of the lockdowns. People were frustrated. A lot of things came to a head at that time, and it was certainly something to watch, and quite sad what was going on with the burning and looting and violence that was happening. Really a sad time. And again, we're a voice for all, so that it's certainly something that, again, we need to listen to all people and represent the people who are here in the city. It's about all I can say on it.
Thank you, Kim. David McKenzie.
Yeah, hi. So I think BLM is an organization born to address major issues facing several major issues facing our country. I absolutely back BLM and what they would like to achieve. The marches that took place in Los Angeles were primarily peaceful, as have the vast majority of the protests in regards to BLM. In some small cases, though, there have been issues with vandalism and worse, of which I completely condemn. There is a systemic problem, and people of color are victims of it. And I think that it's obviously a major issue that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, David. Brandon.
It was a BLM wasn't about talk, it was about action. So many times when people are going to rallies, it's just a lot of talk and nothing else gets done. I wasn't a fan of the vandalism. A lot of individuals that weren't associated with Black Lives Matter just took that as an opportunity to just get their anger out, in my opinion. But taking it to the next level, in my opinion, was necessary, because if you're just having a march in downtown LA, the system, as it's called, I'm just using it as a general term, they're going to know that it's just a march, and then people are going to forget about it and move on. But if you take it to the next level, now they have to address it. They have to understand, okay, it's real now. Now we have to really do something. And I think Black Lives Matter transcended, sorry, my mouth's a meal here, transcended just a simple cause to something that went well beyond that. The fact that we're still talking about it constantly, day after day, is a testament to how far Black Lives Matter went.
Thank you, Brandon. John Para.
I believe this question is more suited for a candidate in a local, state, or national election. I believe it's outside the realm of the neighborhood council elections, and therefore I have no comment. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lana.
Hi. Hi. Yes, what we witnessed, the Black Lives Matter, yes, is
Lana, you are cutting out.
you hear me
If-
better now?
I can hear you a little bit better now. We'll start over. So,
Okay, thank you. Nice. That the Black Lives Matter is an organization that needed to have voices heard for so long, has felt like they've not been heard or had issues addressed. And at the same time, I feel like some of the rioters who infiltrated the movement in our city found that opportunity and hijacked the message. And it was quite saddening to see where you have a peaceful protest being organized, that there's always going to be some bad apples that find an opportunity to behave in nefarious ways. That was the sad part about it. However, the Black Lives Matter organization is very strong, and I believe that they will continue with the, having their voices be loud and clear.
you got 10 seconds left, or you're good?
Did I get all the questions? Was there something else?
Nope, you're up to all the
Sorry.
questions, and I'm just making sure you're done because I know you can't see the timer. So you're all caught up. Thank you, Lana. And we will move on to the next question as well. The first person to answer the next question will be Brandon Marino. Brandon, the question will be, if elected, which committees would you like to be involved in? And whether elected or not, would you still volunteer to be a member of a committee, attend meetings, or volunteer at events?
To answer the last part, yes, I would. I would love to be a participant in any community event that betters the community. I'm not really that well versed on the committees, land use, I heard. It's really less about that and more about working with the right people. There might be a lot of territorialism with these committees, which means maybe nothing will get done. Again, I don't know. I am not a member of the Studio City Neighborhood Council. I don't know what's going on inside it, but I would like to work with good people. I would like to work with people who are open to viewpoints, who can sit down over a cup of coffee and chat it out, so to speak. So in terms of the committees, any committee would work because every committee is important. But moreover, on top of that, I would like to work with people who want to work with me. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Brandon. Moving on to John Para.
If elected, I would like to be involved with finance in some capacity. I would also be open-minded to other committees, whatever the council needs. If not elected, I would give consideration to volunteering with the council. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lana.
Yes, hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
I
can.
currently serve as the budget chair for the Studio City Neighborhood Council, and I am a member of the Land Use Committee, for which I serve as the secretary. And these are two very specific committees that I thoroughly enjoy participating on. In the past, I have also participated with the Cultural Affairs Committee as well as the Outreach Committee. And just know that the committee work is very important. They are like a team that interacts one with another. So for those of you that are new to our neighborhood council, we have many committees. We have a government affairs committee, an outreach committee, cultural affairs committee, a budget committee, transportation committee, land use committee, and homelessness committee. And they're all integral and work together. So I would just like to continue the work with these committees and serving on.
Lana, thank you very much. Your time is up. Thank you, Lana. Are we moving on to Doug?
Thanks, Mike. Well, quite frankly, I'm in it to win it, but if I don't get elected, I hope that my message has been heard and that I feel like the younger generation and progressives need a seat at the table, and I'd be happy to be part of a committee. 4 committees that come to mind: sustainability, because I support green energy and green spaces. Transportation, I think that we should have access to transportation for everyone, and I think public transportation could be much better, along with safer streets for bikers and pedestrians. I like the outreach committee, just to get people to learn more about the neighborhood council, because I only learned about it towards the beginning of the election cycles across LA. Cultural affairs committee is interesting to me too. I'm a musician. I play in 2 bands. I play bass within Los Angeles. I love supporting the local arts and local music. So anything I can do there would be really fun. I do want to take the rest of my time to address a couple of things. On the Unitarian Church, I forgot to mention that one of our slate members, Andrew Silver, is actually directly involved in this endeavor through No Ho Home Alliance. So we're already doing work on things in the community to help homelessness be better. Should have mentioned that before, but obviously tight on time. I'd also like to give a shout out to Kenshi Ragsdale and Shelby Eggers. They couldn't make it, but there are 2 other renters running for neighborhood council on our slate. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug. Moving on to Kim Clements.
I would also like to serve on the board as well, but my involvement with the board of directors at Cal State, we served on committees as well, so I'm quite familiar with how that all works and the importance of them. I was part of the finance committee, strategic planning. Here, I did take a look at the committees, and I almost want to say I'd like to be a part of the outreach, because I think it's very important to get the word out. I don't think we get enough information. I've been here many years, and there's a lot of things I did not know about having to do with the neighborhood council and whatnot. So, but I think more than that, though, I think I'd like to be involved with public safety and government affairs would be interesting to me as well. I think I'd fit well with either of those. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. David McKenzie.
Yeah, I'd be open to learning more about the different committees that I can be involved with, but based on the ones that I saw, and I know that they can typically be pretty entrenched with people that are on the committees, but I'm absolutely open to help. So the budgetary committee, the government affairs, land use, and sustainability committees fit pretty well with not only my background, but my interests as well. And those are just some of the committees I'd be open to helping, regardless, not only as a volunteer, but also as a potential committee member.
Thank you, David. Yeah, we're moving quickly. That brings us to the next question. First person for the next question will be David McKenzie. All right, David, your question will be, under land use, what are your thoughts on the Save LA River open space in Studio City? And if you don't need anything else.
No, yeah, no, it's totally fine. Let's open up with some more polarizing ones. While I do enjoy the Weddington Golf Course, as I'm an avid golfer, I've been there many times. It's hard for me to invalidate the Harvard Westlake River project. Weddington, that was sold 2 years ago. The purchase was approved by powers that be prior to obviously this discussion. The land the land is Harvard Westlake's, and based on the proposal that they provided, it seems rather generous to the city, given that they did not have to provide additional amenities, as far as I'm aware. I'll miss the golf course and the large trees, but I don't have much more to say on it. I think it's their property.
All right, thank you, David. So we are moving on to Brandon. What is your position on Save LA River open space in Studio City?
It's interesting. In all the years I've lived here, that golf course, every couple of years, is under attack by somebody who wants to buy it. I maybe my memory's serving me wrong, but I thought it was going to be a retirement community at one time. In terms of Harvard Westlake, I think it's the lesser of the evils right around the corner. Based on what I've seen over the years, if it's not them, it's going to be someone else. It can be a developer like Hadid, who might want to buy it and build major condominiums on top of it. So I was looking at the Harvard Westlake proposal, the River Park. I was also looking at the competing website, the Save the LA. So I guess it was the Save the LA River plan or whatever it might have been. I don't see a problem with it yet. As long as everything's on paper and everything's approved and there's no baits and switches, it's the lesser of the possible evils that might be around the corner in terms of overdeveloping the property. So that's my opinion on it.
Thank you, Brandon. Moving on to John Parra.
I'm a supporter of athletic facilities that are open to the public. Anyone that has read the scientific research on exercise knows the benefits of exercise to individuals. It is quite beneficial. That said, one has to look at the nature of business. Entrepreneurs, corporate entities buy and sell properties all the time for various reasons, and in any community, but I believe any community would like to see, especially in the case of athletic facilities for public consumption, when entities show interest in property, you want to see entities with an exceptional business plan and that they are well financed and are willing to make a long-term investment in the community. That way, you avoid a lot of buying and selling of properties and changing the manner in which the property is used. Hopefully this situation gets resolved as a win-win for all parties involved. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We are moving on to Lana Shackelford. Lana.
Hi. Since I am currently serving on the Land Use Committee, I am prohibited from taking a position, which was a key word in that question in regards to this land use issue. What I would like to say towards that is that being a member of the Land Use Committee, all of the information is brought forth and the community is allowed to voice their opinions and make their comments, and everything is taken into consideration. And that is how we function. We listen to everyone that has business and residential issues as concerns in regards to the changing element in our community and how it impacts us going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Lana. And yeah, Doug, you are up next. Just so everyone knows in attendance as well, what happened last night, what happening tonight, and it will happen tomorrow as well. Some of the board members who are rerunning again will have a little extra problem answering some of these questions because of the code of conduct, which they did sign to keep an open mind. So just know that when some of the current board members do come up, that it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to answer. So With that, Doug, what is your thoughts on the Save the LA River open space in Studio City?
Thanks, Mike. So candidly, I don't know a whole lot about this, but I can say that I support open green spaces with public access. So inherently, I feel as though this is more up my alley of support, where I feel like we could preserve those. But that being said, the Harvard Weddington Golf and Tennis, like that, it's over. They bought the land, they're going through the motions. So it's a private purchase of property. It's gone through, there's nothing we can really do to stop it. So I think, you know, it goes against what I believe in preserving the community. But one thing we can do is keep an eye on the environmental impact report, which I believe is coming out soon, and it'll give a better idea of how it's all going to work. I think we just need to keep a close eye on the development of the property, how Harvard Westlake wants to go at it. It's one of those situations where we're a public board and we can only push private institutions so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. Moving on to Kim. You're up.
I too am a big proponent of open space. I think it's what brings a community together if people have a place to go and get out, especially in Southern California, and enjoy the weather and meet up with others and whatnot. That being said, change is hard. Growth can be good for a community, and change is hard. So I too would want to look more closely at the plans and whatnot in the land use plans, but in general, yeah, I'm a big proponent for expanding on, you know, the things that we can do outside and to get together in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And we are continuing to move quickly here through everything. So the last person on this go around, Kim, right back to you, Kim. So you will be the first person to answer this question. And the question will be, given the pandemic and its lockdown, where do you feel the current Studio City Neighborhood Council Board of the last 2 years has been lacking? And what would you like to see change? What do you feel they have done correctly in that time for the betterment of our community?
The biggest change I've seen during the pandemic has been the exponential growth of the homeless issue. But I know that this is not strictly a neighborhood council matter. This is mandated that the encampments were not to be moved. I know the police have been strapped on the issue. But that has been a particularly difficult thing to see grow in the way that it has. So that would be my comment for the board of the last couple of years. And I'm sorry, the rest of the second part of the question was, can you repeat the second part of the question? Because I think it was about where it's going.
Yes. So where do you feel they were lacking, and what do you feel they've done correctly?
I think they're trying to open things up as quickly as possible, as as we'd all like to see. Get back to normal. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. David McKenzie.
Yeah, you know, it's a hard answer. This is a hard question to answer, as I'm not fully aware of all the successes and failures of SCNC. I'm not too sure if there's a checklist somewhere I missed of everything we proposed and succeeded with. I think that in itself might be something to address. I think this was mentioned earlier by another candidate that potentially more outreach and communication and transparency is needed. I know there's a website, but potentially more can be done, because I think there are far too many people in our community that are not even aware that this council exists. So I think that's a big step in the direction that should be kind of taken. And I don't have too much else to kind of go on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Moving on to Brandon Marino.
I agree with what David said and Doug said regarding the existence of the Studio City Neighborhood Council until I received that mailer in my mailbox saying, oh, there's going to be an election, participate. I didn't even know you guys existed. So I think there should be more of a communication outreach, not just to homeowners, but a renter like me. There should be more mailers out. There should be more communication, more awareness that you guys actually do have a website, more participation in social media, and also maybe a collaboration with the chambers of commerce in terms of, say, the pandemic. If the Studio City Neighborhood Council, maybe you have, I don't know, was working with the chambers of commerce to reach out to the businesses and communicate with them back and forth. Again, I don't know the inner workings of the neighborhood council. I'm assuming you did, but that's my viewpoint on it. Just communication, just getting the word out more often. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Brandon. John Para.
I've not been involved with the council or been actively engaged in the business of the council. Therefore, it would be disingenuous and unfair to the members of the current board to offer any kind of critique because it would be an uninformed one. I always make a concerted effort to be thoughtful and measured in my statements, whether they are personal or professional. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We would go to Lana, but it looks like she might have dropped off. So I'll get this question back to her when we get her again. So we will move to Doug.
Thanks, Mike. Well, actually, I agree with pretty much what Brandon and David were saying about the exposure to neighborhood council. And I also think it's kind of a testament that a lot of people here are first-time neighborhood council members. So in a way, it's a good job that there was some outreach for the election. However, I think there could have been more outreach earlier. That being said, I think, the neighborhood council has carried on Zoom. That's been really helpful. I've listened to the past 5 or 6 board meetings. Thank you for doing that. I think we've been pretty safe with masking and social distancing and being safe in the pandemic. So I haven't heard any pushback from the board. Again, I've only heard about you guys for 6 months or so, but I trust that you're doing the right thing. So thank you for that. When I'm elected, I think one thing I might try to do is push for more positive awareness with situations like the Unitarian Church or working with organizations that Studio City for All supports, like the No Ho Home Alliance, working with organizations that are going to help homelessness at the ground level, whether it's in our city or not. Remember, the homelessness is here. We need to take care of it. We need to help people. So I think being more active in the community with pushing solutions would be a step too. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. I see Lana here. Let me make sure I can bring her up. Lana, are you on? Yes.
Hi, Michael. I'm here. Can you hear me? Great. And I was disconnected there for a second. Sorry about that. So this question is still related to the SCNC and what improvements or lacking. That's the question, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Where have they fallen behind and where have they done well in the last 2 years?
Yes. I would like to share that each 2 years there is an election for a neighborhood council, and there's always an opportunity to have new people come onto this team to work together. This past year with the pandemic, I believe interrupted the general process of our neighborhood council becoming more gelled as an entity and a working team. There had to be an enormous change to how we went through the processes during this pandemic. And I thought that there were great efforts being made by the members of the neighborhood council to achieve that, and even beyond, in reaching out to the community and organizing efforts for food for people in our community to have drive-by to pick up food.
Ding, 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 ding. Sorry,
yes,
Lana.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. We do have 28 minutes left. We have asked a lot of questions. We're going to continue to ask a few more before we get to your closing statements. We're around our magic bag again in the first person. To answer this next question will be David McKenzie. David, your question will be, what are your thoughts on the increase of unhoused stakeholders, and how successful do you feel LASA has been with our unhoused community?
It's a sad and complicated situation. I won't begin to say that I'm a subject matter expert on how to solve the unhoused crisis that is happening throughout the United States and in our city and neighborhood. I feel that they have had some successes and some failures. However, as I mentioned, this is an extremely difficult subject to solve, and it's not as simple as writing a check. And so, it requires a lot more analysis and some actual boots on ground, some potentially getting private organizations involved as well as state and city involved, but it's very complicated. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Brandon Marino.
Oh, another answer some people might not like. You're not going to solve the homeless problem or unhousing problem. There have been unhoused people since the beginning of human existence. It's always going to be out there. There are some people who want to be homeless. That's just the way it is. What we have to focus on are the people who don't want to be homeless, who don't want to be unhoused, who didn't have a choice. They feel there's no hope, there's no avenue to get out of it. Reaching out to those individuals and giving them a path to get back into society, to find a place to live, to find some stability. We have to focus on those people first. Instead of taking care of every unhoused person, prioritize the ones who don't want to be that way anymore. Then work on the other ones. It's just, I think, trying to find a general solution, casting a wide net over the situation is the wrong way to go. You have to compartmentalize the individuals who don't want to be there anymore. They want a better life. Work with them first, then deal with the rest.
Thank you, Brandon. Moving on to John Para.
It's unfortunate for those individuals. I believe we need to have compassion and empathy for those individuals in their plight. I have not acquired any data metrics, seen their objectives and key results, nor have I talked to any subject matter experts within LHSA, so it'd be impractical to articulate any opinion because it would be an uninformed one. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lana Shackelford.
I agree. Hi, I do agree that this is not a one solution fits all situation. All of the money and resources that has been poured into trying to solve the issue of homelessness in our community and surrounding communities has been an ongoing effort with many people so dedicated and giving of their time and their personal resources. I do feel like we need to look at a different strategy, which would be similar to what I heard spoken before. The folks that would like to be off the street, we help them with these services. And those that want to continue to be on the street, we need to examine if they are on the street because they are involved in illegal activities. This is a whole different matter of help and situation that we need to address. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Doug Sloan. Doug.
Thanks, Mike. So I think it's pretty obvious based on how I've answered my questions so far that I think we need to bring resources to help homeless people find solutions to their problems. So I'm not really going to belabor that point. And also, I'm not an expert, quite frankly, similarly to as we've said, I'm not an expert, but luckily StudioCityForAll.com, we have Andrew Silver, who's president of the NoHo Home Alliance. He's actively involved and he's been coaching me in solutions for homelessness and how we can work towards things, which include building relationships with people on the street, providing services like at the Unitarian Church and providing services to help them get better. 90% of homeless people who go into permanent housing stay there. That's a big, big number, and that would be a big impact in our community. With all that being said, my understanding of the LAHSA is that it's kind of controversial, and we as a slate support the LA Family Housing. We want them to address the needs of our unhoused stakeholders. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Doug. Kim Clements.
Touched upon the subject a bit, so I'll try to be brief, but I think that the issue is really, it's a shortcoming of California rather than, it affects our little area greatly, but absolutely would like to see help brought to those who want it, and those who don't shouldn't be allowed to just pitch a tent wherever they want and call it home. That isn't fair to the rest of us. In fact, it's a lot of the people, again, I've had firsthand encounters with people that were clearly not well, could not make decisions for themselves, but were not taken in for any treatment, or nothing was done because they apparently weren't seen as a threat to others at the time, but unkind to leave them on the streets because they clearly were very unwell people. So there needs to be a solution, and obviously it is many-pronged, as others have pointed out. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So, but looking forward to hopefully working on it with others.
Thank you, Kim. All right. I'm going to ask you one more question. This is going to be through outreach. It is going to be a combination of two questions before we get into our closing statements. Person who will start answering this first will be John Parra. And the questions from outreach will be, we have a diverse community. How do you feel about increasing engagement in the SCNC with more diverse and representative members of our community? How would you suggest we become more inclusive? And I'd like to throw into that for something a little bit larger. How do you plan to involve all stakeholders in the Studio City Neighborhood Council? If you'd like me to repeat it, I will. John, on you.
Thank you. I believe the council could increase engagement by utilizing a social media footprint. The council could do traditional mailers to residents. The council could send out a survey to gauge residents' awareness of the council and their interest in participating. Again, the council could send out a traditional mailer or use something more technological like SurveyMonkey. Once the council receives the surveys, someone on the council could begin to an outreach effort to those individuals who indicated their interest on the survey. I also believe I articulated some of this already in the previous question, but I would like to add that any type of public forum meetings could be posted on the council social media footprint, and also with traditional mailers encouraging participation. You can't force residents to participate. You just can inform them about what's going on, and hopefully they take the initiative to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And moving on to Lana Shackelford. Lana.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I have for the longest time wanted to make a proposal that for our outreach efforts, not only would we have a committee, but we would also have a paid service to help us with consistency. As I mentioned before, we do have, a board that is elected every 2 years. And I think that when you have to restart the engine every time and rebuild, you lose a little bit of your continuity. As to inclusiveness, it is really great to have as many people as possible, and yet we realize that each individual is the one that's going to make their decision whether to participate or not. We can only
engage people as much as they would like to come on board. And I would like to see many more of them. You can have a targeted program if you need to, certainly to engage more people. And I believe that a campaign would be necessary for our community, and use some of these dollars for
Ding,
such
ding,
a
ding,
campaign.
ding. Lana, thank you very much. Thank you. Moving to Doug.
Thanks, Mike. Well, I don't know if you all have heard or seen my background, but one of the reasons Studio City for All was formed is to increase inclusion in the board. So I think it's a really big part of why we're here. We need to get the community involved and hear from all voices. To kind of touch back before when we were talking about what the board has done, I think we're going to see the fruits of the labor of their outreach for the election cycle. So I'm optimistic that the board is on the right path. I think the Studio City Neighborhood Council will be strongest when it's accessible, transparent, inclusive, and representative to everyone. So one thing that I would like to do is work with as many organizations and people as possible to understand as much as possible about our community. I think you can read a little bit more about our outreach positions as a slate at studiocityforall.com. You can scan that QR code right there if you want to learn a little bit. I think another thing we can do in the meantime, before election, whether we're elected or not, we're going to try to host some forums for neighborhood council training and Q&A with anyone that's interested. We'll do that as a slate with some organizers. And I think we could modernize a little bit of of the board's website. Seems like there's some issues there. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug. Kim, you're up.
Well, having served on the board, as I said before, with Cal State, we did a lot of work with outreach, and we had a real focus and drive to reach out to all stakeholders, which included not just students and alumni, but the community as well, to get the community to get involved more with the school in a multitude of different ways. So I have worked on such things, and I do think that reaching out and getting the word out, I think the mailers are terrific, great way, and others have talked about social media for sure, but I think mailers are a terrific way to get the notice out and garner some interest. It would certainly be something that I think a group or committee could come up with some great ideas. But I do think that certainly it isn't, no one is being excluded currently from running or joining. So I do feel that there is great inclusion there. It's a good job by the current council.
Thank you, Kim. David McKenzie.
I feel great about the fact that the SCNC is trying to get more diverse and representation of the members of their community. We absolutely need more and different perspectives and more representation in all levels of governing from the bottom up. While I'd have to do some more analysis as to what would be the best method to address this particular issue of becoming more inclusive, there may be some other things already in place that the council has going. It is possible that opening more seats or things like that will add more availability, advertising on various platforms more than what currently is being done. Definitely the mailers were the way that I think reached a lot of the newer people to this kind of committee, or trying to join the committee, I should say. More SCNC events and more ways to get that notice out there through bulletins, newspaper, or otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, David. On to Brandon Marino. Brandon.
Connect the dots. I don't think it's difficult to get the word out. Any business in Studio City you walk into should, the neighborhood council should have a presence in, work with the Chamber of Commerce to find a solution to that, to realize that. You're not going to hire a PR team with your limited budget. I think it's $40K a year. I'm not sure. I might be mistaken on that. But mailers, like many of us have stated, I didn't know you guys existed until just a few months ago when I got the mailer. I know mailers cost some money. Postcards don't. Just get it out there once in a while. Have a more robust website, as Doug stated. The website's good, but it can be a lot better, and it can link on their YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Nextdoor. A lot of people I know use Nextdoor. It's not always accurate, but have a presence there. Be everywhere. And in the 21st century, we live in 2021, it's not difficult to be everywhere as it has been in the past.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, folks, thank you for answering all of those questions. We are going to move into closing statements at this time. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for being sprightly in your answers and working with all the questions that we've gotten through, which is a lot. So the first person for their closing statement, and something that we brought up last night as well, and I can give you a few extra seconds, is that, as I said at the top, we do encourage candidates to please reach out to stakeholders through social media, whether it's Nextdoor, whether it's Twitter or Instagram, whether it's your email. If you in this could offer up any other way to contact you, because sometimes when we do these live, the stakeholders do like to approach candidates and ask more questions when it's over. We just like to keep the conversation going. So if in your closing statement you can offer up any way for people to get in touch with you, that would be lovely. Doug, you are the first person. I'll keep this 1 minute, 15 seconds up there because I'm asking more of you now. So on you.
All right, thanks, Mike. Thank you to Lisa, Randy, Mark, and the board for putting this together. It's been really exciting to get here and talk to everyone. I've been really excited for this ever since I learned about the neighborhood council. I'm excited to have an opportunity to gain votes as a residential renter candidate for the board. I may be a transplant from the East Coast. I know we get some bad rap sometimes, but I've been here for about 4.5 years. I dreamed of moving to Los Angeles when I was a child. Now that I'm here, I want to be a part of the community. I live here with my fiance. I walk my dog every day outside the community. I play bass in 2 bands, and now I'm trying to get involved and help with the issues and make an impact on the place that I live. So contacting me, if you want to contact me, I did recently start a Nextdoor, echo Brandon's sentiments on that. I do have a LinkedIn. You will probably think I'm a weirdo, but I don't have any other traditional social media. And I mean, the best way to reach me probably is on our website, studiocityforall.com. We are fielding questions. You can email me directly, dougsloam@gmail.com, just my name. We have received some inquiries on the website. I'd love to talk to more people, get to understand what they want us to talk about, what we can represent for them. StudioCityForAll.com. Kenshi and Shelby could not be here. They're the other 2 renters for our slate, so shout out to them. Thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you, Doug. And I should warn everybody that the timer goes off after 2 hours, so I'm now using my phone. I am sorry about that. And Belinda, I'm sorry to invite you to be a panelist because I'm trying to invite the timer back in. Put on hold, hide non-video participants. I hope that's good. Hope I didn't just mess things up. So with that, Kim, you will be next. There you are, Kim. And again, I have a timer here. Sorry about that. On you.
Okay, well, thank you for this opportunity. I also have been excited about being a part of this and campaigning. I am happy to talk to people outside of this. I do have an email, kimclements4, F-O-R, SCNC @gmail.com. I do think that this arena would be new to all of us. However, some of us, like myself, have worked before and have become adept at reaching out to the powers that be that can help us to bring to fruition the things that we desire and need and would like to see. So as I said, I feel that I have become quite adept at that. And I'd really like the opportunity. I'd like you to help me to help Studio City. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. As you can see, we've got our timer back. With that, let me make sure we're all good. We will go to David McKenzie. David.
Yeah, I'll make this brief and short and sweet. Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity. I love living here and would love to serve the community in a greater capacity. Please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn, Facebook, social media in general, etc. Thank you again, and please vote for me.
All right. That was fast. We will move from David to Brandon Marino. Brandon.
I don't have any specific website that is about the Studio City Neighborhood Council, but btoons.com, btunes.com is my main website, and all of my social media links are there, as well as my email address. As for my closing statement, I've been a resident of this community for over 20 years. I remember how it used to be. Those days are over, but we have an opportunity that's been presented before us to create a better Studio City, better than it's ever been before, better than any version of it ever before. But the path to that outcome starts with one person. That person is you, the person watching this right now. Get involved, get proactive, take pride. I consider the Studio City to be the jewel of the Valley. Together we can keep it that way. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for the time, and thank you for including me on this.
Thank you, Brandon. John Para.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to incisively articulate my candidacy to you this evening. In order to have a quality community and society, we must see our community as it is, in objective reality and objective truth. The objective truth being defined as whether you know it, like it, believe it, or want to acknowledge it. The truth about a situation, statement, or individual is true due to viable facts, viable data, and objective, intellectually sound reasoning. In addition, we need to embrace diversity. Diversity defined as being open-minded to different personalities, dispositions, ideas, inputs, solutions, opinions, and perspectives, so long as it's legal, ethical, and all thoughts are constructed of fundamentally sound, objective reasoning. If we are resolute and steadfast in our commitment to diversity, to objective truth, and conduct ourselves in a sagacious manner, where our means are upright and our ends are pure, acting in good faith toward the common good of the community that supports the propriety of our American principles, values, and norms, we can establish Studio City as a preeminent model that surrounding communities aspire to emulate. I look forward to receiving your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lana.
Hi.
You've got a wonderful echo going on there, Lana. Maybe it's, try again, Lana. Hello?
Hi. Well,
It is Hollywood. Lana, you just might be close to a speaker or something. That might be all there is to it. Can you try one more time?
Okay, so I have just arrived home and I was trying to get on the visual part with you guys so I could at least see some faces and they could see mine, but I think that's what's happening is with the echo.
Oh, good.
Taking the phone, so.
Your closing statement?
Okay, let me log off of one of these devices. I'm so sorry. I was going to try to see everyone.
I don't think that's going to work, Lana. There we go.
Okay, as I was saying before, I've reached my destination and I'm trying to log on to the computer where I can see everyone. And until that, I had the phone, with me until I can make the connection. And I'm so sorry for that feedback.
You're all good.
Okay, so I guess it's still voice only. Hey, in closing, I really would just like to say that the number of years that I've participated with the Neighborhood Council, I've learned so much. I have a lot more knowledge than maybe you could discern from some of my comments this evening. I have a great deal of responsibility with working with
my neighbors and their issues when it comes to rental situations and working with the housing department. And I would just encourage any of the participants tonight who would like to chat with me and have any questions that I could help them with in regards to potentially becoming a renter representative. I'm happy to talk with you. And just to remind everyone that this is a process, and the neighborhood council meets every week and our committees meet every month, and it is a process, and we hope that you're all in it for the long haul. And if you'd like to reach out to me, my email address is Lana, the number 4 and the word Ford at yahoo.com, Lana4Ford@yahoo.com. And I'm so sorry I didn't get to see all y'all's faces tonight. Maybe we'll get to do it again some other time.
Lana, thank you very much. And in closing, that's it, everyone. I'd like to thank every candidate here for taking the time, as well as the attendees here as well, for tuning in, to watching us live, and people who are going to rewatch this right now. Really appreciate that. I do want to remind people, first and foremost, that there are more candidates. So please go to the election website above my head, where you can register, which you do need to do with the city clerk's office, where you can see all the candidates, and you'll get more information as far as the dates, which you can see to either side of me, as well as where to drop your ballots, if not mail them. These are very important dates, and the clerk's making me jump through some hoops, but I really hope you do. The involvement is what everything comes down to here with the Neighborhood Council. Lisa Sarkin is our chair here of the ad hoc committee for the elections. Do you have anything to say, Lisa?
Yes, I would like to remind all of you that you should go to the Neighborhood Council website. On the right side, go all the way down to the bottom and sign up to get the e-blasts that are mailed out periodically. And you should sign up to get the agendas for all the committees, so you can see what's going on, at least before, the election's not for over a month. So that would be a very good opportunity for you to learn about what's going on. You can, of course, zoom in. Who knows when we're going to get to meet, but good luck to you all.
Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, same Zoom call. We're going to have the homeowners. Thank you to everyone again. Have a good night. Best of luck to you all.